Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here to review Lethal Weapon, or of course, Lethal Weapon. A movie that would go on to do so well, it eventually had a parody of itself, which is to be the Emilio Estevez, Samuel Jackson loaded weapon. A movie that would go on to do so well that eventually it did a TV show, and now we even have at some point where there is supposedly another Lethal Weapon movie coming out at some point. So, when making my way into a film like this, we have to mention that Lethal Weapon, I feel, has gone on to be a blueprint or really has shaped buddy cop comedies, I think, for the better. Like, god dang, like, Roger Murtaugh and Martin Riggs' story here is to be so impactful as well as also so entertaining to watch. More so than I feel any buddy cop comedy out there, um, for how well they're just bouncing off one another and just how their characters are just so interesting. Like, Rush Hour, of course, there is to be like the cultural differences, of course, which these characters don't really have. But for this movie, it's to be more like 48 hours. But like in 48 hours, like there's the whole we ain't brothers, we ain't partners, we ain't friends kind of thing. And the two of them are going on and slugging it out through the entire film. And they're to have lifestyle choices that, of course, sort of go on and have one feel the better of the other because cop and prisoner. Whereas in Lethal Weapon, like neither one of these guys feel that they are better than the other or want to go on and kind of rub that in either one of their kind of faces really, but they go on and they are to have kind of these differences about them that make them so interesting. When slammed together, they're just like, well, like they just throw their hands up and just like, well, I guess we're just forced to work together, so we'll make the best of this. So Riggs is to, of course, made his way into his 50s, and he is to be the one that is just focusing on trying to make it home at night. He's to be focusing on his family. He's to go on and to just want to do the job and hope that he can just come home every day. As soon as Roger finds out that this new partner is at all putting that in jeopardy, Roger is just going banana. He is basically just on the effing edge. This guy is to be so stressed out that he is to go on and be asking his partner, hey, if you can go on in one day not kill somebody, I'm willing to trust you. So we then have Riggs. Riggs is to go on and be a character that is a wild man, is a cop on the edge. He is to be a guy that wants to eat a bullet so badly, he even puts his name on it. And is to be a character who is to have lost a loved one, which is to, I think, never be disclosed or to be talked about from Riggs to Roger about why Riggs could be dealing with something here that could be making him crazy, but Roger never goes on and takes the time to unpack why that is. It never comes up through the entire bit of this film. I'm like, did they ever go on and did they ever talk about this? No, it like never comes up. Even Riggs is to go on to his lover's grave and Roger isn't even there. So I feel like they never go on and they never unpack this through this entire film because, like, we just put that on pause. Like, at some point in the movie, the two simultaneous characters just puts their on pause, like, and they just do the job. They realize that they're going on and they're enrolled in this case that may be uh, something that could be tailor made for them. Of course, very well convenient for the story, but also maybe a little bit too big to chew on, so to speak. But they're going to just take the skill and everything that they've learned from either Roger's experience on the force and Riggs' overall military and life experiences and have the both of them kind of both play their strengths and work through this whole process, as well as also the villains in this story are to go on and the more and more they start to know who these characters are, they start to play well against them. Like, they kidnap Roger's daughter. They realize, oh, if we can't get this information out of Roger, then we can get it out of him because of going on and torturing his daughter, and then he'll speak. To where neither Roger nor Riggs have any information whatsoever that could be viable to give to these guys, but they're willing to just take the punishment and the torture because they know it's coming anyways. They know better. Like, this is to be, because of their experience, just something that they know. It's like, even if we do go on and tell them anything, they're not going to believe us anyways. They're just going to keep torturing us, or they're going to kill us either way. So if anything, we're just going to take the punches because we know that that'll mean that we can keep surviving for a minute or a second or whatever, a little bit longer. Because eventually there is to be a torture scene that eventually happens towards the later half of this film. Honestly, this movie could be quite similar to the Jean-Claude movie Double Impact. I always throw in that one line about the whole, like, brother, because he looks like me, I will up his face. Yeah, I always go on and I always say that. At some point, if people want me to cover Double Impact, let me know in the comments below, because I do want to, at some point, cover some Jean-Claude movies. But, like, if anything, like, I'm just trying to go back into the action genre and kind of cover and pick clean, because I feel that the action genre is to go on and be quite a bit of fun, but also is to be a lot of stuff that I can kind of like enjoy and to have already seen, of course, everything, but at least I can go on and just kind of have fun with it and just kind of do these reviews. So within this mission, we come to find within this whole mission of story, we have Amanda. Amanda goes on and does a swan dive so early in this film that we are to go on and know really not much of anything about this character. Eventually, the later parts of the film will find out more. But this character just randomly takes a swan dive, and Roger is to be the one there for that specific case. Comes to find out that Amanda is to be tied to his old friend Michael, who had bizarrely, around the same certain time, given him a phone call, which Roger wasn't quite sure why his old friend was calling him. And all he remembers is like, well, yeah, we're old army buddies. Like, I owe him one. So what is he calling me for? Is he calling me for a job or uh, that he has for me? Like, what? Like, what is his phone call for? So Roger goes on and seeks Michael out, and Michael was just hoping that Roger could have saved his daughter from what she had gotten herself in, the videotapes, the substances, let's just say. And further, once Roger and Riggs go on to find out that all of this is to reconnect with Michael, everything that's going on, and they figure out that he's a part of this special forces uh this special forces kind of ring of heroin and all these other kind of substances, what have you, that Michael was probably not only hoping that he could have saved Amanda, but also Michael was probably hoping that he could save himself and get himself out of this, and hoping Roger could be the one to help him. But inevitably, at some point, it becomes a little bit too late. And then it gets to the point to where the special forces, the Joshuas and the general, are to go on and assume that both Riggs and Roger are to probably have some secret that they're withholding from them, that they know about their next shipments or their next deliveries or whichever. So that causes the chaos going on between these two things of buddy cop and this special forces task force, and the inevitable meaning of the two, and the gun slinging and explosives and the carnage that lay ensue throughout this whole entire film makes for an interesting adventure to see how it all plays out. And the big fight sequence that happens by the end with triangle chokes and arm bars and a lot of really good actual combat uh, mixed in by the end of here, which I can thoroughly enjoy. So, Lethal Weapon, like, I wish at some certain point of the film that they wouldn't have put their personal just completely off to the side, and then we just focus on the story. Like I would say, like, by the end of the film, we have Riggs who's going on at the funeral of his wife, putting flowers down, and I'm like, and Roger isn't there. Like, Murtaugh isn't there to like comfort his partner. Like, we could have gone on and had Roger going like, oh, that's why he's crazy. Like, oh, I get it now. Like, it makes perfect sense. Like, maybe they go on and they talk about that somewhere in the sequels, or they unpack all that. But in this specific movie, I'm like, we never get there. We never get to the full understanding of the characters to one another. Like, Riggs can go on and best understand Roger because family and him being around them, and and Riggs feeling obligated to protect his partner, um, because of just their partnership, but also the fact of like, well, hey, like I know this guy um, wants to go home to his family every night, so I'm gonna make sure that like I'm gonna try to throw my body in front of him so that way I can, um, so that way he can go home at night to his family. Because there's gonna be a lot of times where they're gonna go on and they're gonna be throwing their bodies over one another to protecting one another throughout these films, um, as well as also the stories that kind of play out in the sequels. Like we of course get the quote by the end of the second film where it's like it's just been revoked and pa, and and then kind of Joe Pesci comes in and he's kind of like this third wheel character bringing in the comedy. And by the fifth film we go on and we have that whole refugee movie where Roger brings in the refugees to his home, and then all this is to lead up to the face off of Jet Li by the end of the third act. Um, so yeah, so I've seen all of the Lethal Weapons. Like there's some in between there where they just kind of either bring in new characters and we have to play off a lot of that, like Chris Rocks and uh, Renee from the Thor movies is brought in here to play off Riggs and kind of be his love interest at some certain point. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of like at some point it's just kind of bringing in new characters to just gotta play off of, and then like we just have the like whatever is going on within the story of that one, of which that kind of becomes a blur to me. So with that said, where can you go on and you can check out Lethal Weapon if you're really interested in checking out this film for free instead of paying some kind of rental or buying fee, or maybe you have it in your collection. I have the physical collection of Lethal Weapon, but I don't think anything else. So yeah, because I can see that in my collection just over there. I can eyeball it. So I would go on and recommend people, if you have a mobile device, if you have a Google Play Store, you can go on to an app called Clede Plus, KLEDE Plus, and be able to watch Lethal Weapon and a number of huge chunks of content for absolutely free. New releases, stuff that has gone on and been decades old, you can probably find it on this app for hopefully free. If you're looking at anime, that's a different story. You'd probably have to go on and go to a certain app. You could probably go into a number of anime videos that I've been doing recently and find that bootlegish app. I would also go on and recommend a app called Movie Box 3. The logo won't say so, but the title or the title won't say Movie Box 3, but the logo will say Movie Box 3. If you search into it, you'll get to that answer anyways, hopefully. If not, if there's for any reason you can't go on and get either one of these apps, I'm sure I can go on and give you another bootleg app that you hopefully be able to watch this movie on for absolutely free. Especially if you have a mobile device, a Google Play Store, you should be able to go on. And I'll recommend a tablet or an iPad, but if you don't have either one of those things, then you may just go on and just decide to just rent this movie because it'll be convenient. Other than that, I think it's about that time to just dare in fact say it's about that time to just go into the blow for blow, scene for scene of this movie. So, as I like to do in the segment called Feature Reviews, I feel like I'm going to soon review 48 Hours. That's going to happen. The Fugitive is going to happen with Harrison Ford. There's still going to be Spider Noir that's still going to get reviewed and covered here. I'm sure after the first review, no one will care about anything that follows up on that, but I'm still going to do it anyways. I was planning on kind of doing Spider Noir with these projects. I'm not quite sure if that's going to be a thing that I'm going to try to accomplish today. I'm also like again, I'm kind of injured here, so I'm just trying to like play it by ear, like what I can really try to get going here, as well as also there's just other things that I hope to try to accomplish today. Uh, but anyways, like I'm just gonna try to put my best foot forward and hope that I can just keep doing content is what I'm trying to do. Till this kind of gets I can get back to 100. So, so with that said, yeah, like, I'm. Let me know in the comments below to see your favorite action film, and hopefully it's something that I haven't covered on the channel. Cause at some point I hope to add some future date cover it, which I feel I have to go on and I have to say for kind of everything. Because there are still things that it's still like I know that people want them to be done on the channel. It's just me being able to carve out that time, or just to just be able to get through it mentally to be like, okay, let's do this project, let's focus on that, let's take the time to get this project done now. um, but until that time, we have projects like this that people might be interested in. Maybe, hopefully. Uh, but either way, it's about time to say let's go into spoiler time. Spoiler time. It's about that time I get to spoil this movie. Let me know in the comments below what is to be your favorite buddy cop comedy, or maybe just your buddy comedy. Like, there could be stuff that I've done in the past, like Trading Spaces, the Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy film, that people could like and enjoy because it's just a duo film. Um, there could be any number of good duo movies like the Blues Brothers or something like that. The Blues Brothers also is something that I've kept in the library and may want to go on a review at some point. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments below because I'd love to do it. Like there's a lot of good projects out there that I know of that, believe me, like I've kind of stored a lot of things away for a rainy day that I think I can now pour out to you and review. And I have endless ways to get to all these things. So it's all about just real true interest of anybody to have of any of these things that I can quickly get to. So, and hope that yeah, there's things that are still kind of compiling of a list of things that I've told people I was doing and still haven't lived up to that yet. So believe me, like that is probably my biggest mistake on this channel. But I hope to eventually, at some point, rectify that. I hope to uh, come up with a way of giving everybody what all they want on the channel. I hope that I can somehow accomplish that, but probably not today. So hoping for the best for the overall channel. Uh, thank you everybody for going on and continuing describing, being patient, and also eventually getting at some point new subscribers. Getting to 505 now. Um, hopefully, I can go on and uh, get the views back up. I can get subscribers to be more of or people being involved in the channel to be more of a thing as far as like gaining new people and also uh, keeping the people that have been here for so long to be happy about the content that is hopefully coming out. I don't know. We'll take every day as it is. So that said, it feels like every day I have to do these like long-winded apology things. I don't know. But either way, it's about that time to say it's about time to pause here, whip out what I need to whip out, and start the details of all these things. This part is maybe not as exciting as the early parts of the review, if any of this was really exciting. It's just kind of me going back over the film and scene for scene. Maybe there's going to be little anecdotes or little commentaries to add into it, but otherwise, it's basically just me going over the film. So, with that said, let's pause here and let's roll that out. Okay, so in the beginning of Lethal Weapon, it's a very odd choice for them to not only go on and have this, like, they're shooting the city and the panning around obviously with this like helicopter like approach, and I'm to just go on and be like, you're shooting the whole entire city at night. What a massive mistake that is, because all you can just see is these lights. But I guess it's like, well, who cares? Like, if anything, it's all about the credits. Like, we're just doing this just to figure out a way to just to start the movie. But I'm just like, this, like, I always go on and horrifically complain about how, like, every movie is to start the same way, um, with just a city backdrop, and then credits. Like, if anything, I think this could have been more interesting if they would have went through just like the police station, just went through that, or they could have like just started the movie with just a walk around like Riggs is home, and then do credits that way, and then the first thing you see is like is probably just Roger in the bathtub and happy birthday, and you could have started that movie that way, and then shortly thereafter that you could have just led with the scene we see here. But I guess that's just the editor in me. Or maybe we could have just stayed with the opening of this scene, and then we could have cut to credits, and yeah, that's how we could have started this. But am I a director? Am I an editor? No. I guess that's my nitpick. So we start out this scene with Amanda. Amanda, who's basically wearing this open robe, we can kind of see everything in all her glory. She's going on and inserting a little nose candy, and then we start to see that she has made her way to the balcony. And the more and more we see her lingering here, the more this just does not look well. She's going on, and she's kind of leaning over the balcony, and then once that's starting to happen, I'm like, oh, okay, like this is telling us where this is going. Then all of a sudden, like Jenna from Forrest Gump, Amanda goes on and starts to climb up on the railing of her balcony. Then we just see her just Superman just swan dive, and then she makes her way to the uh, the bottom floor the hard way. She goes on and crashes through this car, lands, and we have the director's credit. So now we cut to the early morning day. Uh, Newspapers go flying, and like milk trucks are driving by the house and whatever. So we cut to the whole entire Murtaugh family thrusting their way into Roger's bathroom, which I guess it doesn't seem like he has a shower, or he has a like a shower door or anything. Like all he has is just this tub. So the whole family all rushes in there, happy birthdays him like a mother, and so Roger goes on, grabs pieces of his family, is trying to trick them to go into the bathroom, just as something funny here. I think at some point, like, I think there is a time where maybe Roger, like, is a good chunk of these movies, I think, to probably be around his birthday or something. I always think that's a thing that they just consistently do in these films. Like, I think there is at one point where I feel like Roger like thrusts his wife into the tub with him at some point, from memory of some kind of lethal weapon somewhere. But anyways, so Roger, because he doesn't even realize it, he's 50 years old, to be said by his daughter, uh, Rihanna, I believe. If I have that name wrong, I apologize. I'm sure it'll be said in the third act quite often, but like I think it's Rihanna. I think it's how it's pronounced. I could be wrong about that. So Rihanna goes on and tells her father, like, "Hey, you're getting a little gray in that beard." So Roger immediately goes on And he's like, I'm 50. Ugh. So Roger goes on and he shaves his beard. And when he goes into the police station and he just has his stash, they go in and they tell him, "Hey, you looked a little bit younger with that beard." It's like, yeah, great, thanks. So now we cut to Riggs. So we just see this huge, wide open beach that Riggs has just kind of parked his RV in. And I have no idea what this dog's name is, and I don't care to really have to learn that fact because there's a lot of times where I go and I do that due diligence. This time around, I'm just like, it's a dog. He doesn't play a role in the movie. Like, he doesn't really have to do much. He's a dog that exists. Maybe in sequels I'll learn it, but today I just could not be bothered. So a dog is trudging his way. Man, give that dog a go kart. So the dog is going on, running his way all the way to the RV. Gets in the RV. Riggs wakes up, and he's bare butt naked, just walking around his RV. Gets up, gets what looks like a beer bottle, swigs it, and even like he's like just like you could tell that this guy gives no f's by the way that he's just drinking this beer, and I think it just kind of slops on him or something. Like this guy is just very disheveled. He goes on, he wakes up, and he's just like, well, whatever. Like he's like, I just don't care. Like so. This clearly sets up these two characters very well. Like how Roger is to have this whole family just kind of barge in, happy birthday, and Riggs is just so like everything is so quiet, like everything is to just be like him. Just he could walk around uh, without a piece of clothing on and just swig a beer, and like that's his start of his day. So we have these two girls and they're making their way into Roger's home and they're looking for Renee or Rihanna. And so Roger good mornings them. Uh, Roger looks at the door, it's wide open. So Roger goes on, or his wife or Roger notices that there's something on his tie and asks what it is, and it's just an ugly spot. Eventually, when Roger goes on, goes into his case that he's starting on that day, they obviously bring up the whole tie thing as if it really matters. So right immediately we set up Roger's wife's character and basically continues throughout the film to say how not good of a cook she is, strangely. Like, we'll come to find that there's just egg on the ground, and Roger is having to just dodge that. Which, like, hey, like, anybody can go on and kind of trip and drop stuff all the time when we're in their kitchen. Like, I'm gonna be a person that doesn't do that quite often, but there's other people that I live with that kind of do it all the time. But it's true. Um, but yeah, but it's just like the fact of like you just going on and just having to just work around uh, the fact that you weren't aware of something and you just kind of step into something because it happens all the time. Um, yeah, with a big family like this, it's surprising how much that he's in tripping or to have uh, stepped on something. Yeah, like it. Yeah, it makes a whole lot of sense here immediately. So here is where Trish, because at some point it kind of helps me throughout the bit of the movie here. It kind of gives me characters' names because like there's some times where like I think that I don't need to exactly retain all this all or look at the cast list ahead of time. So Trish is going on and speaking with Roger and mentions how an old friend of his had called named Michael and is hoping that Roger has any inkling of why this guy called. And Roger's like, no, like Michael called. Yeah, he's an old friend of mine um, from the military, but I have no idea why he could be calling me right now. So Roger will re-go on and call his wife some point later and ask him. It's like, hey, yeah, Michael called and he gave us his phone number. Hey, could you kind of tell me what that number is, because I need to call him because he's involved in my case and I didn't even know it. So, considering this is Christmas time and also New Year's, Roger goes on and makes his way to start getting his blazer on, start getting for work, and then we find Rihanna is to be in this kind of, I guess, probably for him, provocative dress, and so Rihanna states that it's like, oh yeah, this is my New Year's dress, and Roger walks off and he's just like, his mouth agape, and he's like, you heartbreaker, and then he just walks off to his day. So Roger goes on and takes this case, and they pull him in, and there's this girl named Dixie who she mentioned that she had seen everything. She is to have been an eyewitness. They're going on and they're getting her statement. So Roger doesn't think anything of Dixie. He's to just be like, oh, he kind of just laughs off or makes jokes that she's basically a prostitute. And it's like, well, yeah, all dressed up, but nowhere to go. Ha ha ha. And Dixie eventually gives Roger the finger, and eventually there's like this bit of comedy here, and then she walks off. So Roger goes on to continue to speak with the guy uh, who's kind of to have given him the report about this whole case and everything that they've kind of written and filed so far. And then he ends up to be given this woman's full name of Amanda uh, of Amanda Honsacker, and we come to find out that that is to be tied to Michael Honsacker, who is to have gone on and just been the guy who had tried to call Roger before. And now Roger's like, wow, that's kind of weird. Like, so, like, that is some weird serendipitous timing here. So Roger goes on to, of course, know Michael and Amanda very well. He has, I believe, a picture of them. So Roger goes on and calls Trish very heartbroken. You can kind of tell in his tone of voice that that he's gonna have to go on to an old friend and explain that his daughter is dead, and this isn't exactly a trip that he really wants to make. So Roger goes on and calls Trish like, hey, you know that phone number from that Mike? Yeah, I really need that phone number. If anything, I just found it that his daughter had just died. So yeah, like, please kind of forward me that phone number. And then he hangs up. So now we cut to Riggs. Riggs is now going on at what looks like a Christmas tree sale. And he's involved in this substance deal that is to be dealing with some white powder. Some white powder. And Riggs goes on and gets a sample of it, and it's like, all right, I'll take it all, and maybe I'll take a tree too. And these guys are all just like, yeah, like, all right, like, we're gonna make a killing today. So Riggs goes on and he asks, like, okay, like, how much for it all? And they immediately tell him, oh, it'll be 100. So he starts whipping out his wallet and he starts thrusting out $100 in very small bills. Like, okay, 50, 60, like, all right, I'm down to ones. Like, and the guys, they at some point, they stop him where he's like in kind of mid 90s mode. And they're like, no, like, not $100, $100,000 for all of this. Like, yeah, like, evidently you don't know how much substances, how much those cost. So Riggs is like, well, oh well, well, then I can't afford any of this then. But he's like, but how about you go on and if you give me all of these things, all like the substances and even a tree, how about you give me all of this for absolutely free? And then Riggs goes on and whips out a badge and explains who he is, that he's a cop. And then they're like, oh, so they all start scrambling, and guys start to whip out guns. There's to be a guy hidden in the truck that fires off on one of the goons and blasts him in the chest. And then unfortunately, there's a guy in the truck that dies also. So now we have all the other undercover guys that Riggs is working with, like, kind of brush into the scene here. And so Riggs is going on and explaining and shouting out to the guys the description of the other perps, so that way they can find them within this bit of uh, tree mesh here, this tree this tree cell going on here. So one of the dealers goes on to grab Riggs and holds him hostage as the other cops start to swarm around him. All these cops aren't in uniform; they're in their undercover offer. They're in their undercover gear, so they can just hide in plain sight. So as all the cops start to swarm around Riggs, we have Riggs that is telling everybody, shoot him. And then Riggs goes on and tells the dealer, shoot me, shoot me. So the dealer does not go on and does not pull the trigger. He's unwilling to. So for how much Riggs is at this point pleading for this guy to shoot him and he doesn't do it, Riggs just finally goes on, headbutts the dealer, takes the gun away from him, and then puts the gun to his goozle, to his neck basically. And we now at this point have the undercover cops kind of swooping in on Riggs, like, "Hey man, he's not worth it. Don't do it." So, which is quite interesting because Riggs in this movie, you could tell how like bloodlust and bloodthirsty he is. How eventually, when Riggs is talking to Murtaugh in this movie, he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna get bloody on this one. Yeah, like we're gonna have to kill a lot of people in this one." And then by the end of the film, like, we could really tell by the end how much Riggs has changed. That he takes that one last guy and is like, maybe you're not worth it, and decides that he spilt enough blood this day And that's what makes for a very interesting, just kind of just change of this character by the end of Riggs. So now we cut to Riggs in his RV, uh, crying away for his lost love, taking his gun, putting a bullet in the chamber, and deciding where to put it around his body. And the sadder he gets while he's watching Looney Tunes of all things, and Bugs Bunny and what have you. He misses Lynn very much. I think it's Lynn. Uh, yeah, Victoria Lynn. And he said at some point he'll see her later, which is kind of very, very strange. Uh, just the call out of it, like, yeah, I'll see you later. Like, hopefully it isn't. Hopefully it isn't much later. Hopefully it's somewhere down the road when you're to go on and definitely uh, be well off in the distance of the twilight of your years. Anyways, so wow, was that that? Moving on. So we have all of a sudden all these kind of cops gathered together. Some are uniform, but some aren't. They're gathering together because they're doing, I guess, uh, a a group sing along thing that they're probably going through city to city, maybe going on and spreading some Christmas cheer, which is nice. That's what it kind of sounds like they're doing. Or maybe they're just singing Christmas songs because it's the season and so they just want to have fun with it. So now we have the character that in the credits is just to be called the psychiatrist. There's no actual name for this character, it seems. Uh, and I know this character is the captain, but his name honestly escapes me. So we have both the captain and the therapist. The two of them are talking about how Riggs is to basically be a risk of him going on and being involved in any future case or any uh, participation whatsoever of being a police officer whatsoever. Uh, the more that this therapist is going on and debating with this captain, the more that he's like, well, are you sure that this guy is going to be at a complete risk? Are you sure that. And it's like, do you have any doubts of any kind? And she's just like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, that's what I thought. So he walks away. He goes in the bathroom, slams the men's bathroom door in her face. She's like, a-hole. And she walks away. So we have Roger, and he's speaking uh with another officer, and I don't know exactly this guy's name in this movie. I think at some point it probably comes up somewhere. Um, but he's talking about 80s guys, about uh like I thought 80s guys was tough. Like um I cried last night. And Roger's like, "Oh, you cried last night? Were you with somebody?" And he was like, "No, I was all alone." It's like, well, isn't that kind of an 80s guy? So they're debating this, and so the guy ends up walking off. And I'm like, what was this even talk to even need to give a about? But maybe it was just like maybe it's just something that they felt like at some point in this movie they just needed to just have something to just kind of say here about like that guys can cry and like it's okay and like maybe that's what they were saying there. I have no idea. But if anything, we have another guy that comes in who I believe his name is Boyette. Like I know him from the movie Die Hard at least. Uh, but anyways, so they're talking about the autopsy and they're saying that it's a murder instead of a self death because she was poisoned. So while Roger is listening to this Boyette guy, and he's kind of like listening to him and kind of like in one ear, but also like looking at a guy in another, and that other guy ends up just being Riggs. So Roger's going on and just kind of like, yeah, Boyette, just keep on, like blah 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 blah. Just be the background soundtrack to my life, Boyette. But if anything, Riggs is or Roger is going on more so focusing on Riggs. It's like, okay, this guy looks like a trucker guy and like looks very disheveled and like something about him that just doesn't seem right. And all of a sudden the captain comes by and is telling Roger, hey, you look better with the beard. You look younger with the beard. So Roger's like, oh, thanks. Thanks, Captain, for treating him like shit. So so all of a sudden, so Roger eyes back onto Riggs, and Roger just sees that Riggs is to just be pulling his gun out. He's just having a good old time with his gun, and Roger's like, gun! And Riggs is like, where? Where is it? Whoa! And then he's like, oh, you're coming for me. You're going to tackle me. So Roger goes on and slings Roger right after him, whips his gun back out at Roger, and we then go on to them like, "Hey, Raj, meet your new partner," and he realizes that it's Riggs, and he's like, "Oh, like I'm too old for this." Like, yeah, like maybe that really goes on, and like Riggs also I feel is to be like the go-to of what undercover cop should look like. Like look at Serpico. Like if you look at Al Pacino in that movie, like he's very like he has an army jacket. He's very disheveled. Like his body hair is freaking all over the place. Like he basically looks like a werewolf. It's cool, but I look like a werewolf. Yeah, all the time, 24/7. Uh, like I probably could shave it all, but who would care? Um, but so the two of them walk off to the parking lot, and Roger is giving Riggs flowers for that whole stunt the other day where he had gone on to take on those guys and and faced off against them, headbutted them, and like it was all to seemingly be pretty heroic. And so Rogers will also say to Riggs, is like, well, yeah, like it also seems that you were in the military too. Like you were in Vietnam, right? And Riggs is like, well, yeah. And Rogers like, well, you know the war is over, right? God dang it. Yeah, like it's so interesting that you go on and you have like you always have to go with the Vietnam thing. I don't know why that is. Like there's so many movies that there's a very certain time period where everybody has to have been from the Vietnam War, and then there's the whole thing where everybody always goes on and says, "Yay, yeah, man, the war's over, right?" the war's over. Yeah, there was even at one point where uh, CM Punk in the Art of Wrestling, he's to go on to do the interview, and he talks about how he has like the Vietnam shirt, and they talk about, hey man, the war's over. Yeah, like that must have just been a thing at a time. It's ridiculous. Anyways, so the two of them, they're going on and they're measuring their guns right now. Uh, they talk about the different guns they have, and at one point Riggs finds out that that Murtaugh has a 6-shooter. It's like, oh yeah, all the old guys have the 6-shooters. Like, who freaking cares? Uh, like, if anything, like whatever does the whatever gets the job done. Uh, so so Roger also talks about how Riggs is also in the martial arts, and there's even at one point where like Roger turns to Riggs is like, hey man, like don't shoot him, don't kung fu him, just get the job done. And like I thought that was kind of funny, uh, but like it's kind of weird here how they know, or like it seems that Rogers knows so much about his partner, even though I'd be like, where are you getting this information from? Like, why aren't you both just kind of talking about this like it's a more natural thing that he's going on? Like, well, yeah, like just talking about like, hey man, I didn't read your resume, so like tell me about yourself. Like, we can kind of play that off better to have one another get to know one another. Um, but anyways, so Roger mentions the whole martial arts thing, and so well, I guess we should probably register you as a lethal weapon. Oh my god, they said the movie, the title movie, and the title movie. Oh my god, they did the thing. Leonardo DiCaprio can point and justify it. Anyways, so I guess that's where they got the title from. Anyways, so it would be kind of curious if this movie wasn't to be called Lethal Weapon and maybe it was going to be called something else that maybe would not have gone on and had as much impact as Lethal Weapon did. Because man, yeah, that title had I think some really good impact later on to a number of people, regardless of if they've heard the movie or not. Yeah, like that title still had a good number of impact. But anyways, so the more that Riggs is realizing that like this guy is just trying to give him shit, that Riggs is just like, you know what, Roger, like you don't want to work with me, I don't want to work with you, like we're just kind of stuck together. Nobody wants to work with either one of us, so like if anything, we're just effed. So like, so let's just kind of do the job and and uh and we'll live a lot longer maybe. So now we cut to Mendez, this random uh, kind of, I guess, dealer character who's going on and wanting to work with this operation that he's not quite familiar with. So Mendez goes in what looks like a boiler room, but he'll find his way into a nightclub. Mendez goes on to speak with a guy that he doesn't know his name, and so it's like okay, like like, who are you? How you doing? Like, this is Mendez here. And so we find that Busey's character is like, well, I don't really have a name that I want to give you. So if anything, for the time being, just call me Joshua. And I'll be the one that is to just kind of be uh, like helping you with this whole transition of this substance for you to get. So Mendez hates the secrecy and doesn't get how, like, he doesn't like the operation of which that he's working with. So he goes on and he complains to a character that is just to be called the General. So Mendez goes on and is to make his way to the General to just complain about, like, well, hey, I don't like this operation. Like, you have all these military guys. I don't like that. So the General goes on and tells Mendez, is like, well, I've gotten these military men for a very specific reason, and I will show you now. Like, I will show you clearly how tough they are. So the General goes on and asks Mendez if he smokes, if he has a lighter, and so he does. He takes out the lighter, and the General grabs this guy's arm and says, okay, Joshua, come over here. So Joshua puts his hand out. The General goes on and lights Joshua's arm. Joshua doesn't scream in pain. Joshua just takes it like a man, like a beefy, muscular man of beefiness. Just takes it like a man, and really shows no sign of any pain whatsoever. Just deadpan, just like, yeah, burn my hand. So the General's like, any questions? like that's why I hired these guys. So they have Mendez, who agrees to work with them, and so they drag him out. And now we cut to Roger, who's speaking to Mike. So Roger goes on and tells Mike, the guy who had tried to call Roger originally, and this had led to Roger now speaking to Mike and explaining that his his daughter Amanda is now dead, and she had been poisoned instead of swan dived, because she would have died anyways. Either way. So Mike realizes that his his daughter. Some of these titles I always get a little wonky. Michael finds out that his daughter is now murdered, and Michael is I can't take this, which is understandable because daughter. So Roger goes on and asks Mike, "Hey, why did you call me before?" And Michael is like, "Well, I was just thinking about my daughter, and I was hoping that you could get her out of what she's been dealing with. Like, you could clean her up, like, because she's in adult movies, and she's in her substance use. So he was just hoping that he could have helped. So now that Michael is to find out that his daughter is dead, let's get to the daughter correctly. So Michael goes on to tell Roger, it's like, you find these people and you kill them. Whoever did it, I want them dead. You owe me one, Roger. You owe me one. And Roger's like, well, yeah, I owe you. So, like, Michael is really like grabbing Roger by the blazer at this point and really like telling him it's like, I want these people dead, Roger. Really going into the motions. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm doing it anyways. Just as comedic, like weird, like really driving the point home. Roger, I want these people dead. All of them. Every single one of them. A to Z dead. No, it didn't go into that depth, but I'm just making funny here. So, Roger's like, okay, I owe you one. I get it. All right. So, we just cut to, like, Roger and Riggs, they're sharing a hot dog. Because, god dang, is Riggs hungry. The one thing that I didn't talk about in the early parts of this movie, it's also quite funny how Riggs goes on and he talks about how he's such a marksman shooter and he does the whole happy face thing in the shooting gallery. But then when he has to go on and actually gun people down, he's at it. Not to go on and say that it's like, well, I'm sure for Riggs that shootout that he did is something that he's probably practiced over and over and over again, where a lot of these other things that he's shooting at, like this is the one chance one shot thing, and that's why he's so bad at it. But still, you would have thought that Riggs, with the expertise of him shooting people, that man, he'd be able to just so easily just mow down everybody, but he's not, and that just bothers me. So within this film, that's the one thing that bothers me about this entire film, I feel. Anywho, so, but anyways, back to the scene here. So, Riggs goes on and asks Rogers, like, hey, what did you and him talk about? About the whole, you owed him one thing. And Rogers would say, yeah, we were in the military, and he went on and he took a bayonet in the lung for me, and he saved my life, and so that's the owe him one that I have to pay up for here. So the two of them get in the car, and Riggs always goes on and says, "Hey, I'll drive, I'll drive," and Roger's like, "No, like I'm not having you drive. Like if anything, you'll kill me if we drive. Like if anything, you're you're a wild man. You're a risk taker." I don't want to say the actual word of which that he actually is because YouTube, but but that's basically in thesaurus. That's what I'm paraphrasing here of what this guy really is. He's a risk taker. That Runamaka. That Mel Gibson maker of dialogue and what have you. Moving on. So, as they get in the car, they come to find that there is to be a call that they're going to take nearby them. So, Riggs goes on and grabs the radio. Yeah. So, they take the call and they come to find out that it's a jumper. So, here's the, do you really want to jump? Man, does Mel Gibson in so much of his movies, he has to shout, but he always is to go on and have these really impactful performances, I think, at somewhere in these movies. Like, man, like, I think this is tier top Mel Gibson performing here. But, like, a lot of people could go on and say that Mel Gibson does some good movies from time to time. Even Conspiracy Theory, where he's going on uh, and he's yelling, "Nobody knows, nobody knows." That's weird, stupid, but still, I think that's funny too. It has Julia Roberts in that movie. It's actually a good film. At some point, I'm tempted to watch that movie if everybody is to be jazzing at the brims to going to watch Conspiracy Theory, I'm probably going to tag this movie in this one also just to see if there's any taste there for people of interest. Then maybe I'll review it at some point, or I'll probably forget. So somebody remind me in the comments below about Conspiracy Theory, because you'll have watched this video that far then. Uh, but anyways, so but also I'll get the comment and that'll help the video out, so I appreciate it. So, but where was I going with that? Oh, so yeah, the Patriot has a really good performance when Mel, after his son is getting killed, and he goes after those guys, and he's in the woods, and he's just he's like vanishing. Like that's a scene that's pretty crazy. How he just becomes like a caveman and barbarian, like he freaking goes after those guys like a wild man. That's great Mel there. Mad Max, probably for some of you out there, will probably say it's like, well, like that guy doesn't have much lines. He doesn't really do anything. But like I don't know, like I like Mel and Mad Max. But if anything, this is pure Mel at his finest. I think is Lethal Weapon. I feel. But anyways, so they go to the jumper, and so Roger and Riggs, I feel, should have gone on and done the paper, rock, scissors for this. But Riggs is to go on and be like, hey man, I could handle this. Like, because the negotiator, it seems, or the guy that's going to go on and have to deal with this is kind of stuck in traffic. So Riggs turns to Roger. It's like, hey, yeah, like I'll go on and I'll handle this. I'm qualified. I can do this. Like, believe me, I'll do it. So Roger's like, he goes on and tells him, it's like, hey, no guns, no kung fu, just get him down, okay? So Roger goes out there, and so Riggs goes on and tells the jumper, he's like, hey, Merry Christmas, hey, like, the guy's like, leave me alone, man, leave me alone. So he's like, I didn't do anything, like, the only person I'm hurting is hurting myself. Yeah. So Riggs goes on and he goes over the ledge, and he gets closer and closer to the jumper, and the jumper's like, hey man, don't get any closer, I'll jump, I'll do it. And Riggs is like, hey man, I'm trying to talk you down, like my boss is down there, like I'm trying to look good for my boss. So at one point, as Riggs tried to get closer and closer to this jumper guy, and he's like, another step closer, I'll do it. We have Riggs that goes on. He's like, hey man, how about a smoke? Like, hey man, I'm just here to talk to you. Like, let's just talk this out. So as there is to be cigarettes being passed and lighters to be lit, Riggs goes on and slaps the cuffs on this guy as he has the cuffs on him, and he's like, hey, go on and jump if you wanna, but if anything, you're gonna take me with you. And that's not self-death anymore, that's murder. So now the guy is like, oh my god, now he's like cuffed to Riggs, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna be jumping, I will jump. And so here's where Riggs is like, do you really want to jump? Do you want to? Like, and he's like, he's a guy that's on the edge. He's like, hey, yeah, let's jump. Like, you want to jump so badly, let's jump. So they jump, and by the time that they fall, and we think that they're falling on nothing, that they're going to die, Roger is just like, fuck, like, this guy really is crazy. So they fall, they land, and they fall in this huge padding thing. Honestly, if the jumper realized that that whole thing was there, wouldn't you think that he probably would have got on and gone to another part of the building? Like, this movie also kind of reminds me of that one Sam Worth Worthington, whatever that goofy guy's name is from the Avatar movie. There's this one movie called Ledge that came out at some point, and this scene kind of reminded me of that. Um, where the guy's on the ledge the whole time, like we have the female cop that's trying to talk him down, and we come to find out that all of this is going on just so that way they can do some weird, goofy heist in the background. Um, and it's all about that, weirdly. Uh, Ledge. What a strange film. Anyways, so they jump, they fall to the ground, and now we have the jumper that's going on and saying that, hey, get me away from this guy. This guy's crazy. This guy's insane. He was gonna kill me. I'm like, dude, you were gonna just jump you're freaking insane yourself. So now at this point, since like we just have straight up just Roger, who is at his end. So Roger goes on, takes Riggs. He's like, come with me. And Riggs is like, where are we going? Like, what do you want? What? Like, I got the guy down. Aren't you happy? And Roger's like, come with me. Come on. So they go into this room. They go into this kind of this either condemned or like this like building that's getting like put together. And just the way that Roger just swings this door, it goes flying. So now I have to kind of paraphrase some of this dialogue here because, yeah, it kind of gets really dark. So Roger goes on and finally asks Riggs here. It's like, well, hey, do you really want to take yourself, end yourself? And Riggs is like, well, yeah, like if anything, like I think about it every day. Like the only thing that keeps me going is the job, and like he's even made a very special bullet for the occasion, and so Roger is to just go on and be like, okay, if you really want to do it, like go ahead and do it then. Put the bullet in a chamber, and Roger's like, here's my gun, take my gun and do it. So I know I shouldn't be laughing right now, but it's just the way that all this dialogue just comes off is just like, put it in your mouth. And it sounds funny out of context, but it's not a funny scene. So Riggs goes on, puts a gun to his head, is like, no, don't do it that way. So he does it this way, and it's like, put it in your mouth. So Riggs gets to the point to where like his finger is on the trigger and he's about to let go, and Roger catches it at the last second. He's like, you really are crazy. So just this scene in this movie is so freaking epic. Just like I didn't feel that I really needed to give this movie a grading because this movie is great. Like I don't feel that I came off as like I hated this film. I came off as just like, man, I really enjoyed this film. I was so hooked into it, and the characters are just so well thought out and so well something that I can enjoy. And I've seen this movie multiple times throughout the time that I've lived. But there's a lot of this story I also had forgotten about just because of just like over time, there's just so many things that comes my way. Plus also like, there's just very little things that I come off of this movie, like the whole put in your mouth. You really are great. Like those scenes, I think are the only lines that I remember from this film. Or you have like Glover Then in every one of the movies he's ever done, it's like, I'm getting too old for this. Like that's what he says in every one of the movies. It gets to the point to where both Mel and both Glover both say, I'm getting too old for this, and they both say it. It's kind of like the funny catchphrase that has kind of become from Glover, but also in general has become like the thing that just Glover says is always funny. So, and it's to be the one thing you can just enjoy the actor and the everything for. Anyways, so uh and I know I think that this is the wrong time to go on and say all of this, but yeah, this movie is so good. It's so good. So after the whole like, okay, this guy's crazy now, like so even though by the end of the film Riggs is to tell Murtaugh is like, hey man, I'm not really crazy. Yeah, you're crazy, but it's okay. Like I can live with this kind of crazy. I could like if anything, I can finally just be okay. That like, if anything, maybe what I need is crazy. Maybe like it'll help me. Maybe it'll work. We figured out how your crazy can work with Murtaugh's, um, just like just alter opposite. Anyways, so I don't know exactly one trigger thing that could just be Murtaugh. Like, could it just be like old grizzled veteran? Could it just be that? Because could that be his thing to just tie on? Could we say that he's just trying to be just too safe, like he's playing it safe, um, until he revokes somebody? But anyways, so Roger goes on after this scene and is to call the therapist, and it is to really be asking, it's like, should I be worried here? Like, how worried should I be? uh and like the therapist is saying, it's like, yeah, this guy's nuclear, don't be anywhere around where he go when he finally goes off. And Roger's like, great. Thank you for being so helpful. It hangs up. So Riggs is to go on and tell Roger, hey, I'm hungry. It's like, okay, great. So again, there's all rigs where it's like, hey, I want to drive, and Roger's like, no, I'm driving. I'm freaking driving. So, uh, Riggs goes on and asks Roger about his personal phone call. Hey, did the stock market crash? Like, so here's where Roger goes on and confesses to Riggs. He's like, hey man, it was my birthday lately. Like I'm 50 years old, and I got a partner with a death wish, and the more and more like Roger's like, I'm a dead man, and Rick is like, oh, I didn't know. And Roger's like, what? It's like, oh, it's your birthday. Like out of all that, out of all that he just said, all you got out of it was like, oh, it's your birthday? Like happy birthday. Hey, yeah, like maybe if we live long enough, I'll give you a present. Yeah, like so so Riggs goes on and he's like, hey, could I smoke a cigarette? Would it bother you? And then like there's a whole conversation just building up to where Riggs goes on and he starts smoking and he's like, okay, I'll roll the window down. And Roger's like, but I can still kind of secondhand like it's like, yeah, just the bickering and the arguing and the whatever. So the two of them, it looks like they're going to this mansion. And I don't know why they come to the conclusion of this exact mansion, but they're going here. So they make their way to this mansion to come to find these two women are ordering up these bags of obviously substances or nose candy, And we have both Riggs and Murtaugh. They're going on and explaining, hey, we're cops. And so now all of a sudden, all this guy comes out of the woodwork with this gun and just starts blasting away. And Murtaugh tells Riggs, hey, you go on, you arrest those girls. Riggs goes on and cuffs the girls to a tree. And then Riggs kind of focuses on what Murtaugh is doing. So Murtaugh takes the guy with the gun and shoots him in the legs. Anytime there is to ever go on and be like SWAT or cops or whatever, like if a guy is shooting at you, head or heart. If a guy has a guns blazing, you don't think twice, head or heart. You don't pop him in the legs hoping that he goes down and he stops shooting. No, you don't second guess that. Head or heart, he's dead. Because it's him or you. So Murtaugh goes on and he pops the guys in the legs and he goes down. And then Roger boasts about how it's like, hey man, look at me. I took the guy down, I shot him in the legs, and he went down, ha ha ha. Yeah. Not the best strategy. So, as Riggs makes his way back to Murtaugh, guns both blazing, with these two guys at this guy who's now down. So Roger's going on and doing his yah boasting about like, yeah, I popped him in the legs, yeah, I didn't kill anybody. Yeah. We'll see about that. So the guy who was down gets back up, whips out another gun. Roger is now being in the middle of this as Riggs is trying to get the gun away from this guy, trying to save Roger from getting blasted. And so they get the gun away. Riggs fires upon this guy. He goes into the pool. The pool has this liner over it to where once the guy starts dropping in the pool, he's getting wrapped by this liner, by this sheet over the pool, because the pool's covered. So both Riggs and Murtaugh realize, hey, we need to save this guy that just tried to kill us. So they jump into the pool, pull him out of the pool, or try to pull him out of the pool, but by the time they get to him, he's already dead. So the two of them, they get out of the pool. Luckily, they themselves didn't get caught up in anything and had troubles getting out of the pool themselves. So Roger turns to Riggs and is like, well, hey, do you not kill anybody? It's like, well, hey, you're still alive now, aren't you? And they pull out of the pool. It's like, hey, like, you know what? He just freaking saved your life. How about a thank you? How about a vicious thank you? A scrumptious thank you, motherfucker. With sugar on goddamn top. Come on. Give him a good old delicious thank you. So, anyways, I went too far for that. So, so now we cut to some time has passed. The guys, it looks like, are like they must have gotten out of their wardrobe somehow. They might have had some spare clothing somewhere. And so they're talking about the aftermath of what had just happened. And here's, of course, where Roger then goes on and gives Riggs that big old thank you. And it's like, oh, I'm sure that hurt to just say to me that you have to thank me because I saved your life. Like, whatever. Like, if anything, you owe me now. You owe Michael one, you owe me one. We'll call it even at some point. Who's counting? Who's keeping score? I am. So now Roger is to make his way home. And I think this is from Riggs's car, not his. So they drive home, and now that Riggs has finally saved Roger's life. It's like, hey man, how about you come in home cooking? Like, I know my wife's food bad is bad, but hey, just come in, just meet my family. Like, meet all the people that you'll go on and you'll find are gonna be in tears and and upset later on, and some of them will probably get kidnapped. Come to know my family that eventually you'll need to save later, right? So Roger goes in front of his house to see all these people that are just kind of running around, and so Roger is trying to figure out where his kids are at. Like, which one is mine? Oh, there you are. Thrusts him on his shoulder. So so they go into the house, and so Roger is introducing Riggs to his youngest. They make their way inside, and and it's funny because Roger is kind of disciplining his kids. Hey, uh, take the legs off the sofa. So Roger goes in, sees his wife, and thinks like, oh, I'll introduce Riggs to my wife. Yeah, the kid goes on and does that work for him. So it's like, okay, good. Like, last line delivery here. He's like, I'm the lead. You taking my check, kid? You taking my check? Anyways, so so here is where Roger starts chiming in about his wife's cooking. That he's kind of unsure exactly what it is that they're eating for dinner. I think he talks about like fish sticks or something. But he looks in the oven. It's like, hey, it's some brown substance. Come on, Trisha's cooking isn't that bad. Come on, give her a break. Like, come on. Anyways, so if anything, I just think it's funnier that way. That they're kind of busting chops here, but still. Uh, so they go on the table, and we have Rihanna that's looking at Riggs, and she's like, like, who is this Riggs guy that I'm sure is much older than me? But I am interested in him anyways, because evidently she has a blonde guy with dimples that she could be going steady with, but that's not going to last very long. We'll come to find out in this movie. Because somebody's going to end up dead. So Rihanna's looking at Riggs, giving him the good old love eyes, giving him the good old, like, I'm staring my soul into you. And all of a sudden, the family is getting a big old whiff of Rihanna's interest. And there's some beatboxing going on. I'm a horrible beatboxer. Anyways, if anything, I probably could have had a better quality of beatboxing, but I could not be bothered this day. And we have the youngest girl who starts going on and it says, my sister's name is Rihanna. She's in love. KISSID or something like that, where like she just goes on this whole thing, this whole thing. So Roger goes on and kind of cuts out all that nonsense, like, hey. So uh so like the father is supposed to chime in and do his own little limerick, his own little ditty. And so Roger starts going on his own little path of something. He's like, yeah, I'm awful at this, whatever. So, oh well, like, yeah, it's fun. So we have this little fun here, and so the next thing we see is both Riggs and Murtaugh. They're on the boat. Trish is complaining that's like, hey, thanks for taking out the trash. We see her kind of trudging it out now. So, both of them are talking about boats, and so it seems like Roger is kind of tinkering with this boat, and at some point Riggs goes on and turns the boat on, and Roger starts flipping out, like, "Hey man, you turn this on, what do we do?" And so Riggs is just joking around with them. Like, we'll come to find that them on this boat kind of thing is just this consistent pattern that they're just having fun with one another. We'll see in sequels that that'll just kind of become a thing that they'll do. That at some point they'll actually be on the boat, they'll actually be fishing and whatever. That'll be kind of the at some point parts of those films at some point later on. So the two of them they're talking here, and they're trying to figure out the case. They're they're assuming that maybe that they can kind of close this case now, that maybe them going on and getting to that whole drug operation that they were at, that maybe that was to be the thing, that it's like, oh yeah, maybe that's the whole case right there, maybe we can kind of tie that up in a neat little bow. And Riggs is like, I don't think it's that easy, like I don't think that that's it, like I think there's more to this. And so at some point Roger goes on and talks to his kid, and it's Rihanna, and she's talking about, I think, going out with a boy, blonde hair, dimples, and Roger's like, well, you can't go out with this boy, remember, you're grounded, you smoked some weed, or she did something like that. And Rihanna goes on and talks about like drinking alcohol and all this other stuff, and it's like, well, yeah, but drinking alcohol is legal. Funny now, in a world that we've kind of come to, where now weed is legalized. Um, well, a certain kind of amount of that is to be legalized. Um, but yeah, but they're going on and on about it, and Rihanna just kind of walks off and is just upset with her father for just not understanding about her wanting to go off and go on to this date. So Riggs starts to walk off, and Roger says, "Do you think we've resolved anything between you and I tonight?" And Riggs is like, "Well, I've already found out that your wife takes out the garbage, and I've already figured you out. Like, okay, like I think we've got on and we've kind of gotten somewhere, right?" So Riggs goes on and says that he enjoys Roger's wife's cooking because it's a nice thing to say, and he walks off. So some point Roger goes on, or Roger, Riggs goes on and talks about how he had gone on to make a shot from like 1,000 yards off as this random bit of uh, knowledge, so that way Roger can use this later when he needs a sharpshooter. But so Roger goes on and tells Riggs, it's like, hey, like if you don't go on and if you don't kill anybody tomorrow, I'll start trusting you. And so Riggs goes on and chucks the can in the trash can. Roger goes on and asks Riggs, "Hey, do you really like my wife's cooking?" And Roger's like, "No." Gets in the truck and drives off like, "Oh, I think I can trust you now because you're not going to lie to me." It's like, okay. So like they've really gone on and they've really like, "Hey man, just don't bullshit me." Like, just be straight with me, and I think we're gonna do well. So so we have Roger. He ends up getting a birthday gift from his family, or from, I think it's a card. And then he goes on and he gets another package, and it's a yearbook. Uh, it's a yearbook book, and this of course is Amanda's. And he also gets these two VHS tapes that are to go on and be of Amanda and her adult activities. Let's just say where there's this shower scene going on. I'm like, wow, like Lethal Weapon had more kind of skin in this movie than I ever thought it was. Maybe because I think whenever I watched Lethal Weapon, it was probably on TV, so they probably edited all that out. They probably cut a lot of this movie out, or cut good chunks of it out, probably. Because I don't ever remember the opening scene of this movie being put in place whatsoever. While I was watching it for the first time, I'm like, I have never seen this before in my mind. And it must have just been because I watched it on TV and they edited a good chunk of that out because the woman is obviously in the nude. So how can you show any of that scene, as well as also the girl taking a swan dive? Like, how could you start a TV movie out like that? Or maybe I just always caught the movie at different times and never the very beginning of it. I have no idea. So Roger goes on and watches Amanda on this tape and then sees the photo of her. And he's just sad. So Riggs goes on and wakes up Roger in the morning with a fistful of coffee, trying to get him up. It's like, hey man, we gotta catch bad guys today. Hey, yeah, ooh, yeah, coffee. Like, take a big old whiff. Start your morning day with a big old whiff of Joe. So, yeah, get a big old whiff of Joe. Get a taste of that Joe. Slurp into the Joe. Anyways, so so they're thinking about the eyewitness that had supposedly seen Amanda take a good old swan dive, and they're trying to come up with a name. And so Murtaugh tells Riggs that it's Dixie. So they go to the gun range, and for some reason, they're tying all of this on Dixie. They're saying it's like, well, yeah, Dixie must have been the one doing it. Dixie was the one that took Amanda, poisoned her, and then didn't want to go on and didn't want to be the one kind of caught up in all this. So she thought maybe being an eyewitness would make her go on and not be anyone that we should carry of any importance to. Maybe it's all Dixie. Like, they're still trying to point this out on somebody. So they're going onto the gun range and they're like, man, this sounds really thin, right? And it's like, yeah, this sounds really dumb. So like they're going on and they're even explaining out the whole story of what Dixie was even thinking at the time, like that she had to specifically say the word shit at some point. It's funny. So so the two of them go on and they're gunning it out. And so Roger goes on and he's like, "Yeah, I like mine, like a good grouping." And then Riggs goes on and pulls his out, and his grouping is a little bit better. And Roger looks at Riggs like, "Do you sleep with that thing under your bed?" Like, do you blow frowns in your sleep? Are you sleep gunning? Are you sleep pow-powing? You sleep pow-pow? Come on, no, you sleep pow-pow. So, so Roger is going on like, okay, fine, like, all right. So he's like, let's see what an old man could do. So Roger goes on, puts his paper out, and he pushes it out, and then he does his like weird neck thing that they end up doing a lot more often in the Loaded Weapon movie, where Samuel Jackson is like just doing this weird thing with his neck just consistently. Every time he pulls out his gun, he's like that's just his thing now. So Murtaugh goes on, lines up pow pow, or just pals it, just pow, just one pow. He deliciously pals it out. So whatever. So center mass it hits, and so Riggs is like, nice, fantastic. So Riggs takes the paper, pushes it out, fires a couple of shots, brings it back, and he smiley faces Riggs's or Roger's paper and tells him to have a nice day, and he walks off. It's like, God dang it, you just showed me up, motherfucker. So, because the paper that Riggs did was way further out than hit, like as far as it could possibly go. So now we cut to both Riggs and Murtaugh making their way to Dixie's home as they figured out her address. So as Riggs and Murtaugh, they head to Dixie's home, and so what happens is they see these kids, and they ask the guys like, hey, are you cops? And they're like, well, yeah. And they're like, Dixie's gonna get arrested. Dixie's gonna get arrested. So the cops are just like, shut up, kids. Like, shut up. So the two of them make their way to the home. And immediately as they get to the front of the house, boom, the whole thing explodes. Because of course this happens right at the perfect time. So both Riggs and Murtaugh fall to the ground. Roger is going on and consistently smacking Riggs. Hey man, you're on fire! He's like slapping him and slapping him and slapping him. So I think that scene probably went on for a little bit too long. Where Murtaugh's like, no, you still have fire on you. Slap, slap. Can I get 5 more slaps in? Pop out. So there's the whole like, well, hey, was Dixie in there? Is she dead? Like, so fire department comes in as after Murtaugh calls for it, calls ambulance, fire department, bells and whistles, everybody. So Riggs goes on to say that the bomb that was put in place of this is a special bomb. That is like this bomb is a really creative one because I guess weirdly Riggs is to be a person of an expert of explosives, which doesn't make sense to me. Like I guess special forces, you are a very well-rounded guy that just knows that explosives are. Or maybe because this is technically from a military person that is going on and doing this explosive, so he knows that, but still, you would have to be an explosive expert to really, I feel, uh, like know that this was a bomb, but also to, I guess you just have to say that just Briggs's character is just that skilled. So, to see how unique it is. So, Riggs and Murtaugh is to make their way to the kids, because it seems that the kids did eyeball who was it who had gone into the house. So Roger goes to the kids and is asked, like, okay, who was it that saw the guy come in? And it ends up being the kid with the 3D glasses on. And so, like, well, hey, what's your name, kid? And like the kids, one of them's like, hey, don't tell him what your name is, Alfred. It's like, Alfred, ah, yeah. Like, that's always the mistake of a young, just the slip of the name. So Roger goes on and says to the kids, like, hey, how about I give you all guys ice cream? If you just go on, you just freaking leave. So the kids run off besides Alfred to get ice cream. And then Roger is to go on and ask Alfred, it's like, well, hey, like, can you describe this man for me? Was he tall? Was he, uh, was he Caucasian? What skin tone? Like, what did he look like? So at some point the kid says that he's painted. It's like, what do you mean painted? And so the kid points out a tattoo that Riggs has on his arm conveniently, and Riggs mentions to Roger that this is a special forces tattoo. So that means that this guy is a special forces guy. So yeah, like, they're up Schitt's Creek here. So now after this, because I'm just trying to bide time here. We have Roger and we have Riggs making their way back to Michael, because they know somehow that Michael probably has some involvement of what's going on here. Because, of course, with Michael's military background, there's just something here that I feel is just lining up. So, Roger mentions to Michael, it's like, you know what? Your daughter wasn't killed because of somebody that she was involved in. It was somebody that you were involved in, Michael. So spill the beans. So the more and more that eventually Michael is copping up to what's going on with him, Michael says, hey, I have another kid. Like, hey, like, I can't tell you who these people are. Like, these are special forces. Like, these guys scare me. And so the more and more that this is building up, and finally Michael mentions that he's like, well, yeah, I was back to the military. Like, I met with these guys. And they're with a CIA front, Air America. And it goes into all this detail of them being called a shadow company and train killers and blah, blah, blah. So they talk about the shipping of substances, and that there's always two major shipments every year. And so here is where Michael is to be ringing in the new year, or the new year, is to be ringing in the holiday season with some eggnog. He's getting a little nog on him. He's getting a little nog in him. So now we have the interesting scene where all this is building up, and Michael is spilling the beans, and all of a sudden this helicopter comes out of nowhere, shoots Michael, the nog goes spilling, and so does Michael, of blood and guts and what have you, because he's getting killed here. So Michael is to mention Roger about how he's in too deep, and he's going to be in a lot deeper because he's going to be having a whole lot of problems here. So Michael falls, Riggs goes on, takes his gun, whips it out, tries to take out the chopper, and tries to chase it down. Roger goes on and looks after Michael, realizes that he's dead now, and he's like, "Oh, you got off too easy, you son of a bitch." So Roger goes on and chases down Riggs, and the chopper has gotten away. Joshua calls the general and explains that Michael is dead, but if anything, uh, he was spotted, and so he just kind of had to run for his life. So, stating that that Michael had spoken to the police, and if anything, it's like, okay, uh, if anything, it's time to turn up the heat. Let's go on and let's find these cops. Let's ask them what they know, and and let's try to get past this point here. So now we push on and we have Riggs, and he's outside just looking for some ladies of the night, asking about this photo. I believe to have like Amanda's photo or somebody's photo. So he's asking if this girl is to know this person, and all of a sudden, Riggs is to be accosted uh, by Joshua, who peels out of this car, blasts this gun on him, and he goes flying through this window. Roger goes on, runs his way to Riggs, and he assumes he's dead at this point. He's like, this guy is dead. So Riggs goes on to open up. Uh, Roger goes on and whips open Riggs's chest to see, like, okay, where's the blood pouring from? And he had worn his vest. And Roger's like, oh man, he wore his vest. All right, like maybe he does want to live after all. Isn't that great? So Riggs gets up and he's in pain. He's like, oh, that hurt. Oh. So Riggs asks where's his gun. He gets up and he wants to chase after them. And so Riggs immediately knew it was the same guy that killed Michael because he saw him from a good distance off. He could see who that guy was. So let me pause here for a second. So now, because they know that their lives are in jeopardy, they're thinking about kind of going to Detroit and laying low, or going off and living some other life and doing commercials somewhere. And they're making jokes. And Roger's like, hey, you know what the best benefit is? Like, these guys think I'm dead. Like, if anybody is to say anything or ask for me, like, tell anybody that I'm dead. Because so that way I'll be in hiding. Because they'll see Roger coming, but they won't know that Riggs is to be with them. So Roger goes on and calls it in. And so also while that's going on, Roger is to find out that there is a body that is nearby his house, and Roger starts to joke. It's like, well, I'm sure it's a blonde kid with dimples, and the woman's like, how did you know? And he's like, huh? So Roger makes his way back home and finds out that somebody had kidnapped his daughter, and his family is now upstairs, and they're terrified. So Roger finds this note. He finds, I think, a picture, and Trish is asking Roger, "Hey, what's going on?" Because she's scared. So Roger gets the phone, and we have Joshua that's telling him, "Hey, wait by the phone to get details of where we will meet up." So Joshua calls. Oh, I guess it's. Trying to see if there's a name here. It doesn't say it. God dang. He calls the officer from before. Uh, oh, Sergeant McCastry? Sergeant McCastry. Is that his name? Finally. At least I said it somewhere. Um, so this guy goes on and picks up the phone, talks to Joshua, and explains that Riggs is dead. Um, and Joshua was calling, pretending to be some news reporter to want to put this in the paper, and was going to send some reporter out to him. But yeah, uh, so they found out that Riggs is dead, and so the general's like, okay, well, all we needed was Roger, anyways, and if anything, now that we have his daughter, he'll talk. So here's where Riggs and Murtaugh coming up with the plan. It's like, well, hey, if we're coming for blood. We're gonna get bloody on this one, Roger. We're gonna. And here's where Roger finally asks Riggs, "Are you really crazy?" And Riggs again tells Roger, "It's like this time you really need to trust me." So Roger completely does. He trusts Riggs. So he answers the phone. He gets told where to go. It's in this desert, nowhere of nothing, somewhere. So they drive like a bajillion miles out in the desert of nowhere. And so Roger at one point stops the car. Riggs goes on to make his way through through this desert to just try to find a spot uh where he can pop his sniper his sniper scope rifle, whatever it is. So Roger makes his way out to speak with Joshua, and it's really interesting how like these guys overwhelm him, but he used to go on and like, okay, get my daughter, like, and uh, and you and I talk and this and that, and then we find that Roger has a grenade in his hand, and he's like, we all glow, like I'll go with my daughter, I don't care, and so Roger shows the grenade, and I'm like, oh my god, like, and Joshua's like, he's never going to get that grenade off. Like, if anything, like he's lying to us. That's a dud, or that's something. That's not a real grenade. Like, there's no way he's going to do this. Like, he's a good guy. We're not. So yeah, he's not going to pull this grenade. It's like if he goes, his daughter goes. Every like, yeah, like it doesn't make sense. So this whole standoff continues to happen here. So finally guns start going off. Starts popping off. So because Joshua is to naturally go on like, yeah, let's just kill Roger, let's just shoot him, or something like that. So, or no, wait. At some point, guns go off here. So, I think Riggs was probably maybe the first one to fire off here because Riggs kept going on and kept telling Roger, "Hey, just go to little left, little left, little left," and then eventually he just started firing. I think is what happened here. So Roger finally drops a grenade and it's just a dud, it's a smoker. So Roger gets from behind his car and starts shooting here. Roger yells to his daughter to get into the car and drives off. So she gets into this limo and starts driving. There's a guy that jumps under the hood and Riggs kills him and Rihanna continues to drive the car. Riggs is at some point hoping that he can pop off Joshua, but by the time he gets his sights on him, the general is to be behind him, and he tells him it's like, hey, you might be fast, but you're not that fast. The general calls off Joshua and tells him, hey, I have Riggs. If anything, we'll just kind of, if anything, just overwhelm Roger, and then we'll get him too. So Joshua is waving to the helicopter to get the girl. So now we see Rihanna. Rihanna is driving the limo, and the helicopter keeps trying to, like, it drops on top of the limo, then it tries to drop on top of, like, the windshield. It tries to, like, just continue to just stop the car. At some point, Rihanna, I think, either runs out of gas or she just smacks the car into some piece of brush or something where she can't drive anymore. So she just starts running out of the helicopter, and the guys grab her anyways. Cause helicopter. Like I don't think that Rihanna can outrun a helicopter. I hate to break it to her. So now we're back to that boiler room that we had seen behind that nightclub. So Joshua is to explain to Riggs that he's going to basically get tortured here. They need information from Riggs and they want to know everything that Michael told him. And Riggs is like, well, I don't know what to tell you. He didn't tell us anything. And he's like, well, that might be true, but if anything, we're not sure. So we're just going to torture you to death and hope that we can either get this information out of you or kill you. Either way, like, just kind of save your strength because you're going to need it. So the guy has what looks like sponges and then has these kind of electrical things that are going to shock Riggs here. And so Joshua just keeps like he keeps pushing him into this guy named Endo, who's to be the torturer. And at some point, Joshua himself keeps getting shocked, and Riggs keeps spitting out the water. He keeps going on, and he keeps getting electrified. And so this scene kind of goes on, and then Endo tells Joshua, it's like, well, hey, yeah, I don't think this guy knows anything because he's put up with a lot and he's told us nothing. And Joshua's like, oh, okay then, well, like, all right, well, I guess we're just gonna get nothing out of him. So they go on and they beat up Roger, and they're putting salt in his wound, and Roger is taking it, and so finally the general just brings in Roger's daughter, and it's like, oh, okay, since we can't get answers from you, then we'll get answers from your daughter. From because like once we torture your daughter, then you'll have to say whatever you know. You'll have to give in. You can't last forever. So now we cut finally to Ando that is going to shock Riggs one more time. And here's where Riggs grabs his legs, takes Ando, and basically chokes him to death. Uh, and I'm like, man, like Riggs is like not only arms, but god dang, like is Mel freaking just strong in this piece. Uh, just all the fighting and all just the shirtless that he has to do in this movie, like is just really impressive. So Riggs kills the shower torture Ando, and then unhooks himself. So as it seems like Roger's daughter is going to get tortured here, Riggs bursts in and starts kung fuing away all the bad guys, grabs a gun from one of the guys, and forces the gun to fire and it kills some of the men. Riggs is trying his best to just to bash his way through all the guys, and so after Riggs goes on and almost takes out everybody except for uh, Joshua and the general because they all kind of run off, they all kind of scatter. Uh, they talk again, both Riggs and Murtaugh. They talk about, yeah, it's pretty thin, huh? Yeah, it's pretty thin. So Riggs gets a knife, cuts Roger free, and they scramble out of there. They go through the club, and there's guys even trying to gun him down in the club. Uh, Roger and Riggs both have guns themselves, so they're defending themselves. They take out the bad guys. They make their way through the club. They're going to the club. So Joshua runs out into the street and just finds a random person, grabs this woman viciously by the hair, pulling out of the car. The girl is wrestling with this guy to try to like, and I mean wrestle. This is crazy. This guy has a gun on him, and this woman's like, "No, you're not going to take my car." Like, man, was that a pretty good scene? So, so Joshua blasts away at Riggs and Murtaugh. They duck behind. Oh, also Rihanna's with them. They duck behind this car to avoid the bullets. So a street cop comes flying by. Murtaugh goes on and tells the cop, "Hey, yeah, like, call for a cop car here. Here, take my daughter, like, so that way she's safe." And so Riggs is now jogging like a wild man to try to get to Joshua, and Roger, it seems, to know exactly where Joshua is going and tells Riggs, "Hey, go to the freeway, cut him off." Da, 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 da. And so Riggs runs back to Roger. It's like, "Hey, man, are you okay?" And Roger's like, "I'm fine. Go after him." So Roger, or Roger is clearly out of breath here. He falls to the ground. Riggs runs off, and we're at a point of like this bridge. Riggs tries to gun down the car, tries to get to Joshua, and Joshua bashes his way onto this pole and then is now like almost on foot at this point. Joshua and Riggs are just blasting their guns through the busy traffic of this road here, and inevitably Joshua does get another car. Uh, I think Riggs ends up getting ran over by I think like a taxi or something, and so Murtaugh makes his way to find the general trying to escape with this driver, and Roger basically stops this car. As the car comes in, Roger is to be blasting away. He kills the driver. The general is trying to control the car. Roger gets out of the way. He kind of gets to this uh, part of the corner where he's kind of protected, and he gets the heck out of there. The general at some point tips over the car. We come to find that there's grenades within the car. The car is going to explode because the longer that there's fire in place, there's these grenades here. The car eventually explodes. I love the scene where Roger goes on and explains to Joshua about how the general is now dead. Um, oh, the general's car ends up getting hit by this bus, and that's how it goes kind of rolling. That's what happens here. So Riggs re-meets back up with Murtaugh because he lost Joshua. Riggs kind of lifts Murtaugh back up, and he's like, "Hey man, we need to go to a hospital." But he's like, "No, we need to go to we need to find Joshua. We know exactly where he is, or we know exactly where he's going, because Joshua is going to use Murtaugh's family as a hostage chip." So the two of them get into this car. They drive off. So Joshua drives by these two cop cars that are by Murtaugh's home, and they ask, "Can we help you, sir?" And Joshua shortly thereafter that makes short work of these cops, and the cop car goes on and smashes into the fire hydrant. So Joshua goes in the home and is to watch this movie, and it's right at a point of Ebenezer Scrooge was like, "Tell me what day this is," and and Joshua's like, "It's goddamn Christmas," and then so as Joshua starts to make his way through the house, we get to see within the tree this sign that says, "Dear bad guys, no one's here but us cops. Sorry, the good guys." So it seems that the house has all been cleared out, and then all of a sudden a cop car comes flying into the house, and Riggs and Murtaugh come in to have a gun on Joshua. At first, it looks like they're going on and they're arresting him, but instead they decide that they're just gonna beat the out of him. So, so Riggs is like, "Hey man, you coming for the title?" It's like, and Joshua's like, "Yeah, don't mind if I do." So the two of them are brawling and they're getting wet. They're right by the hydrant. They're duking it out. A lot of this fighting, like you can kind of half see what's really going on most of the time, because a lot of it is just like either poor camera angle or just like the fighting is just kind of like a blur. You can't really see what's going on. It's too quick. You can't really tell. There's not a lot of skill there from just camera angle. It just doesn't look good. Uh, like, because I hate to try to do that because I understand they're doing that for a reason, but it's ultimately going to end up being a complaint anyways. So the two of them are fighting. Like, I hate to try to be specific here because I don't know exactly what happened in all this brawl of fighting. Uh, there's a lot of submission work here. I think Riggs more had a lot of more haymakers, like yeah, like Riggs did go on to have some decent, maybe like roundhouses or some good kicks here, but like most of it was very much like it didn't feel like there was any like sweeping of the legs or just kind of like these moves that didn't feel very much like they came out of nowhere or whatever. Like it kind of feel like very reasonable combat here. So at one point, Joshua gets this pole, and so Roger is calling out for a billy club or a nightstick from one of the guys. Roger throws from one of the cops that is kind of around the scene here. So Roger throws a nightstick to to Riggs, and so eventually does get the better of Joshua, just starts bashing him with the nightstick, and it gets to the point where here is where the submissions come in. An armbar starts happening at first, and then there is a triangle choke. Uh, the further and further the choke starts to happen, there's a questioning of whether Riggs should stop. It's like, hey man, he's not worth it. Riggs starts to realize, yeah, he's not worth it. He starts to walk away. Riggs hugs Murtaugh. They think everything is done and over with. They're so exhausted. All of a sudden, the two cops are going on and they're arresting Joshua. They think it's over. Joshua goes on, pulls out the gun, wants to try to kill Riggs and Murtaugh because he's just bloodlust and he has nothing to live for. Riggs and Murtaugh pull out their guns, shoot Joshua, mow him down, and the next thing we see is Riggs at Victoria's funeral, wishing her a Merry Christmas, and he loves her every day. Walking away from the funeral, Riggs then makes it back to now Roger's disheveled home that has a door that has all this like crayon and all this just so because the home was basically like there's a huge hole in the wall anyways, like they were kind of rebuilding the home anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Like the house was just falling apart anyway, well, not falling apart, but like it was in a process. So like that's the one thing that I was kind of interested about within this movie is like did they get that home because of the hole in the wall? Like why didn't they ever talk about the hole in the wall? Like I don't know, like they just didn't ever bring it up. So Riggs drops by to give Roger a gift. And Rihanna opens the door. It's like, oh, Riggs. So Riggs gives Roger the gift of the bullet because he doesn't feel that he needs it anymore. So he's giving it to Roger, which is funny. So, and Roger is like, well, yeah, like if I give Roger this gift, he'll know what it means. And so Roger starts walking off, and then Roger kind of chases Riggs down. So Roger's asking Riggs, is like, hey man, like come in, like eat some food, eat the worst turkey you've ever tasted. Like I can't handle all this awful food by myself. Come on, like so. So here's where Riggs tells Roger that he's not really crazy, and Roger's like, I know. It's like the whole Star Wars, I love you, I know. Um, so Riggs asks Roger if he can bring a friend. It's his dog, and they're talking about like, well, yeah, I don't think the dog is gonna coexist very well with the cat. All of a sudden, there's this yeah, the dog and the cat go wild. Everybody like Riggs and Roger is taking bets. We see the family all yelling and screaming and that's kind of what finishes up the movie. I'm going to get that out of here so I can have something to upload for today. Thank you for watching this. This is great that I was able to be in a good place enough to be able to do this review. I'm worried that once I probably am to try to get out of this chair, that I'm going to have problems. We'll see. Hopefully this gets uploaded. I'm kind of feeling good, so I don't know. I hope for the best. But if anything, thank you for watching this. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. No one's probably going to watch this whole thing, but at least it's shorter than some other things. Uh, the next thing I think I want to do is also to keep doing Spider Noir. Like, I didn't want to have that be a one-off thing. Some people will probably be upset that I just do this movie. Some people will probably be upset that, like, hey, where's more Spider Noir? Where are the other 30 projects that you mentioned to us? Um, I'm sorry. Like, if anything, it's actually good enough that I did this. But if anything, yeah, like, I still uh, am sorry. Um, but if anything, I hope that I'll be able to do more projects in the future. I hope to just keep going to this. So thank you for going on and checking out this video. This is gonna be a weird one if this is the very first ever video you ever check out of all these. Uh, but I'm gonna go on and I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you for watching this. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, everybody. I'm not gonna have this huge long rant where I make a big old foot in my mouth because I tend to do that in a lot of videos. Uh, yeah, I think on the last video that I think a lot of people actually watched, I think I really did put my foot in my mouth within that one, and uh, I think still that I wasn't really like, even though things were going well for me, and now we have this, uh, but it's still just like um, I'm so at a point where uh, I really want to do well at this. But I just don't know if that's going to be a thing. I still question every day. Um, what I always second guess what I'm doing. I always kind of second guess everything. But today, I'm gonna be more focused on, hey, I did a video. Hey, I'm doing things like I'm being able to. Uh, like at this point, like it's very minimalist today. So I think I'm gonna go on and just count my blessings that I can actually function and be uh, lucky enough that I didn't hurt myself too badly. Um, that I've dealt with this before, so it's not something new. So I know what to do to get myself back after this. So great. Yeah. So when there are good days, there are also other days. Um, but I don't know. I'm just trying to make the best of it. I'm just if anything, on every one of these days, you could really see, like from day to day, as if it really matters. Um, but you could really see like just where I'm at, my headspace. And some days that's a really healthy headspace, and then some days I'm just so burnt out, or I'm just so blah. Um, and it's just about just like having to do this on like an everyday basis. Like that's probably why there's a lot of people that just kind of do like uploads like once a week or once a month or or whenever, because they've either earned it, or if anything it's just like that's just like all they want to do. That's all they want to just put together, and like that's fine. um I just have to keep trying to chip away at this to hope that eventually um, it'll make sense by the time that I finally get to the point where I need to, or to a point where I die. I don't know. Um, that this will have all been worth it. Hopefully at some point. But anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you for listening to a man that consistently is to always second guess everything he ever says. So at any point, like, yeah, I probably do regret a lot of things that I've said. Um, but I've uploaded it anyways, so it's too late. Uh, I could delete those videos, but it's too late now. Um, if anything, I hope that regardless of when I'm having good days or really shitty ones, um, I hope people can still see as much as possible that I'm trying to be just a good person, and I'm trying to do things even though I freaking hurt myself. I'm still coming on here, still doing a video. Uh, Even when I probably need to watch over my parents like 24/7, um, because of me being a caretaker and or a caregiver, and I should be doing that. I'm on here and doing videos because of how much I love this, and how much I like. This is a fun thing that I found one day, just like, yeah, I love movies and I love shows. Let's finally do this as a channel, and then I came on here and I'm like, well, hey, I know all the big number things that I can just throw into this channel, and I can hopefully do a better, quicker uh, progress thing that I did before. And here's where I still am now. Just like still hoping that I could still do big numbers to do well on the channel and to finally get to a goal point. But uh, if it doesn't happen for me, it's fine. Um, at least I've made it this far. Uh, there's some times where I probably should look back and be grateful about everything that I've bounced back from, that I've gotten to a point of, and like how long I've been able to still be doing this without any real big issues that have arrived. Um, where it has completely stopped me, stalled me, or whatever from continuing to do this. Um, for even how small of a budget this channel has, for even how uh, everything that could probably go on and to have been in my way, still, um, like I'm still here. I'm still going to try to keep being here and keep trying to do this life and what have you. And no one's ever going to stop me. No one's ever going to tell me no. And I'll just keep doing it anyways. because what because I feel in my heart of hearts that it's the right thing to do. So, with that said, goodbye everybody. Goodbye everybody.